This is my first book that I ever wrote, and it's a sweet, dear story to me. It is about a lost treasure that was buried somewhere on an old ancestral ranch called El Rancho Chocolaté, and it's a story that was told to me years and years by my tias and my tios and my grandparents, and so we've always heard it down the generations, and we always thought there was something there hidden, and so we're going to find out what is actually on that ranch and where that ranch is. And I also have Rita with me today. I have one of the characters from the book, actually, so she'll be joining me on our little adventure. So who's ready? The Duval County sun blazed, a familiar dusty warmth that Berta, Rita, and their prima Elda had known their lives. Berta's older sister Rita adjusted her sunglasses, a picture of cool pragmatism, while Berta practically vibrated with excitement on this day at her incredible find. With a playful glint, she channeled their abuela, Nana's voice, repeating her well-worn phrase, "Ay, chicas, this tierra, it holds secrets. Like a prickly pear hides its sweet fruit." And this most intriguing secret was El Rancho Chocolaté and its hidden treasure. The legend of their great-great-grandfather, the generations got a little fuzzy, as they often did with family stories, and his hidden treasure had fueled countless childhood fantasies. Nana always told the story with such wonder. One day, mi abuelo was walking, or maybe riding his caballo, through what was known as El Rancho Chocolaté, when, his horse's leg got caught in a crevice. When he tried to get it out, imagine, he found hidden treasure right there. He was so surprised. He kept it a secret, going back regularly and bringing it home little by little. One day he decided to bring larger sacks to move it more quickly, but when he arrived, híjole, it was all gone. He thought someone must have followed him one day, seen the treasure, and decided to take it for themselves. No one knew exactly what the treasure was, how it got there, or if any of it was still there. In fact, no one knew whatever happened to El Rancho Chocolaté, or if the ranch was even real. Nana would always remind them that maybe the story had just been a life lesson passed down through generations about the value of not being greedy or to always watch your back. But today would change everything when Berta, the most adventurous of the trio, unfolded a faded, almost translucent piece of paper. It was a map of pencil lines and dubious landmarks found tucked in their Nana's Spanish Bible. "Okay, chicas, es la hora," she declared, her voice bubbling with excitement. Rita, ever the pragmatist, smoothed her hair. "Pero Berta, remember what Nana says. No one really knows if it was ever real. Podemos estar perdiendo el tiempo. We might just be wasting our time." Elda, usually the quiet observer, chimed in, her eyes sparkling with a hint of mischief. "But what if it is real, Rita? Imagine, maybe it's oro or joyas. They could only dream of all the things that the treasure could buy. They envisioned delicious hot-off-the-grill fluffy tamales wrapped in corn husk, sweet pan dulce from the local panaderia, some fabulous new outfits, or maybe even un carro nuevo, a new car. Imagine that. Could buy that with all that money, right? Their mission for the day, to find the mythical El Rancho Chocolaté based on their discovery of the map and the hazy memories provided by Berta and Rita's mother. The story of the location of the treasure, as it had been passed down through the ages and told to their mother, was this. Every year, outside the quiet daily routines of life in Benavides, an even smaller town named Concepcion, or La Chona, as it was affectionately nicknamed, would transform, hosting rustic fairs and carnivals that brought excitement to the local children. The remains of the town were about 14 miles from their hometown of Benavides. Mom said it was out there somewhere, Berta gestured vaguely toward the endless horizon dotted with stubborn mesquite trees, dry and dusty, just like the stories say the ranch was. Armed with a cooler full of agua frescas and a healthy dose of teenage optimism, they piled into an old pickup truck, borrowed with strict instructions of cuidado, be careful. After what felt like horas marked by wrong turns and fervent consultations of the cryptic map, they found themselves on a desolate stretch of land. A few scattered bits of faded plastic and the faint outline of a flattened area hinted at a long-gone gathering of an old carnival. "Ay, Dios mío, this is it," Rita sighed, surveying the sun-baked emptiness. But Berta was already off, her gaze sweeping across the parched earth. Mom said mesquite and cacti, remember? And a crevice. The horse got its legs stuck in a crevice. Elda, ever observant, pointed toward a cluster of particularly old and gnarled mesquite trees. Look, over there. The ground looks cracked. Que misterioso. They cautiously made their way through the scratchy brush. Near the base of the ancient trees, a narrow fissure snaked through the dusty earth, partially concealed by fallen leaves and twigs. Puede ser? Rita murmured, a flicker of excitement in her eyes. Berta dropped to her knees, peering into the shadowed crack. It was dark and dusty, filled with loose pebbles and dirt. It's just dirt, she said, a hint of disappointment creeping in. But then as she reached into the crevice, her fingers brushed against something that felt distinctly different, hard and smooth. Miren, she exclaimed, carefully pulling out a small weathered wooden box. It was surprisingly intact, the wood darkened by time, and a faint, sweet, almost chocolatey scent hung to it. Rita and Elda gasped, their earlier skepticism momentarily forgotten. ¿Qué es eso? Rita whispered, her eyes wide. ¿Será el tesoro? Is it the treasure? Berta's fingers trembled slightly as she lifted the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of dried grasses, were not glittering coins or sparkling jewels. Instead, they found a collection of small, tarnished silver charms, milagros, in the shapes of hearts, animals, eyes, and limbs, and a handful of shriveled but still fragrant cacao beans. Beneath these, a small roll of yellowed parchment lay tied with a brittle piece of twine. With bated breath, Elda carefully untied the twine and unrolled the parchment. The handwriting was faded but elegant, Spanish words forming the familiar script of their ancestor. My dearest family, Elda read in English aloud, her voice soft with wonder. This land, though seemingly barren, holds a richness that is not always visible. Rancho Chocolaté was not named for gold, but for the dark earth that with care could yield even the most unexpected sweetness. The treasure, I discovered, was not meant to fill a chest, but to fill our hearts with understanding. She continued, her eyes scanning the faded lines. These milagros represent the hopes and prayers of our family, and these cacao beans a reminder that even from humble beginnings, something precious and comforting can grow. The story of the lost treasure, it is not lost at all. It lives in the telling, in the memories we share, and in the knowledge that true wealth lies not in what we find, but in the bonds of familia, family, and the strength of our spirit. After Elda finished reading the note, the girls sat together under the shade of the mesquite trees. So, the treasure wasn't shiny coins, Berta mused, not with sadness, but with a new kind of wonder, picking up a tiny hand-shaped milagro. Nana's going to be so surprised. She always told us the story to make us dream, but she never said it was this kind of treasure. Elda held out the small grouping of milagros to her primas, her cousins, so that each of them could choose one to keep as a reminder of their adventure. Berta immediately claimed the little milagro corazón, the heart, declaring it would bring love and romance to her life. Rita, ever adventurous, chose a little caballo, a little horse, hoping it would bring luck to their next adventure. And Elda, after a moment's thought, selected a tiny ojo, a little eye, hoping it would help her see the quiet wonders that the world held, just like the note had shown them. They hadn't found gold, but they had unearthed something far more valuable, a deeper connection to their past and a richer understanding of the stories that had shaped their familia. The adventure to find El Rancho Chocolaté hadn't led to a fortune, but it had revealed a treasure of a different kind, a sweet and enduring legacy, like the faint aroma of chocolate that still lingered in the hot Texas air. As they pulled into the familiar driveway of Nana's little pink house in Benavides, Nana stood on the porch, her hands gently wiping on her apron. Mis niñas, she exclaimed, a wide smile breaking across her face. Look at you, all dusty and tired. Where have your adventures taken you today? Before Rita could offer a sensible explanation, Berta burst out, practically tumbling from the truck. Nana, we found it! We found El Rancho Chocolaté! Nana laughed, ushering them inside for dinner. Ay, Berta, always with the drama. Come wash tus manos. La comida es almost ready. Tell me everything while we eat. Berta carefully presented the weathered wooden box, her eyes shining with pride. Nana took it gently, her fingers tracing the darkened wood. Nana's smile softened. So, she said, her eyes gazing over their eager faces, you found El Tesoro. Rita nodded seriously. It wasn't gold or jewels, Nana. It was something else, something about our family. The hopes and prayers of those who came before us, Elda added, softly rubbing the old tarnished silver ojo charm in her palm. We have all the treasure in the world, Nana. The stories, our family, everything. Nana's eyes twinkled. She pulled them close, her arms wrapping around their shoulders. That's right, mis amores. The treasures are always in your hearts and in the love you share. But, she added with a playful wink, her gaze drifting towards the fading light outside, this tierra is full of surprises. Maybe, just maybe, there are still a few little secrets waiting to be found. Perhaps another day, another adventure awaits. That night, thoughts filled their sueños of untold stories still hidden in those dusty lands. I hope you like the story. It's a good adventure, and we'll never really know truly what the original treasure was. But I like to think that the family was the most important thing anyway, and it never really mattered that there was gold or wasn't gold. And I just think that it's a story that my mom has always told me too, and I wanted to remember it and treasure it and just have it somewhere that I could always read, and she would be proud to read it as well. And thank you for joining me on this little storytelling adventure.